All right, looks like we are live. Well, hello. Welcome to the Vaults of Yesteryear. My name is Jake, and I'm going to be your host throughout this. We're gonna try this out tonight and see how it goes. Um, First I want to kind of talk to you a little bit about what it is we're doing here. So I spend my nights watching YouTube and playing computer games and various other things like that. And night in and night out, and I enjoy watching other people's content. But I think I've got to the point where I would like to try to create some of my own. So that's why I'm here. You know, I love games. I love war games, tabletop games of all kinds. But my really love is role playing games, and that's why I kind of wanted to choose that as a route to go here. I think I have plenty of experience with it. I think that I have some things to say about it, and you get to hear it, like it or not, I guess. Um, who am I? I live with my family here in Texas, and I've got a day job, of course, like most folks, but we want to give this a shot and see if I can have a little fun doing it. As a role player, I've got, oh, hey there, Mark, appreciate the feedback. Not sure what that is. Let me see if I can adjust my echo on this. 1 second. Let me reduce the background noise, see if that works. Okay, so picking up where I left off, I've been playing games and for the most part running games as a GM for about 35 years now of all kinds. Like most people, I started out, with the D&D side of things, but I quickly expanded into different territory. The first thing that led me away from that was the first edition of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, back in the 80s, whenever that came out. Me and my small group of friends in high school latched onto that, and we, still bad reverb. Let's see if I can fix that. I am not sure what's happening here. One moment. Okay. Okay, let's see if that fixes anything here. Hold on just a moment. Okay. I am not sure what made that happen, but we'll move on. So what do I like? books, movies, war games, everything in the world of nerddom. So that's what got me here. But enough of that. What are we going to do here? What's the channel about, right? So RPG reviews, we're going to do that. We're going to do news discussions. We're going to talk about some of my insights and things that I try to bring into the game, as far as integration with other types of games. I like to bring wargaming elements into RPGs, and that and things from completely outside, outside of the normal sphere of things. And lastly, I want to build a community of people who enjoy this kind of thing the same way that I do. So the more the merrier, so to speak. I've got my core group, and we enjoy things the way that we like them. But we're always trying to play new things every once in a while. And everybody's got to grow, and that's why we're here, right? So, okay, so. One more check on the sound. If I think we're doing okay on that. Yes, no, hello. All right, I'm going to assume that, yep, we're doing okay. Okay, so without further ado, let's move on, and let's get to the topic of tonight's stream. Let's talk about Coriolis, the Great Dark. So let me switch cameras, and we will move on with that. All right. Okay, so Coriolis the Great Dark. It is a game by Free League, and it was Kickstartered last year, and I followed that on Kickstarter and decided to jump into it. And just here a couple of months ago, got the digital copy, and then they finally shipped out the good stuff. So the Kickstarter included the core book and also a campaign for the system called The Flowers of Algarab. And I'll show that real quick. So this is the campaign box. It's good and thick. We're not going to go through that tonight. If there's interest, I may jump back into that at another time, but we're going to deal with the core book today. It did come out on Kickstarter, but it is now available for purchase on the Free League website and other retailers as well. So you can grab this if you like what you see. Let's see. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is the art. I'm really a big one for good art in an RPG, because if the art is good, it kind of sucks me into the game, right? So in Free League here recently has been just stellar with that. So some of the games they've released, like the One Ring and Twilight, Coriolis, many of them have some really good art. And this one in particular is very evocative of the setting. And as we go through it, you'll see some of that. And then there's a couple of other things in here I want to highlight as well. So you've got your inside cover is a map of the Lost Horizon. This is the area of space that the game is set in, and you can see already that the art is kind of a setting that evokes like 19th century charts and maps and things like that. And that's kind of the overall feel with Coriolis. I will just tell you, the Free League's blurb that they talk about is very accurate. They say that it is inspired by 19th century expeditions, deep sea diving, and pulp archaeology, but it is set in a science fiction futuristic universe, and it works. I have not played this yet, but I have read through it, and it's definitely a good read. And I'm I am familiar with mechanics from systems all across the realm of RPGs, and this is using the Year Zero engine that they use to power a lot of their games. They came out with that first during Forbidden Lands, and several years ago, and won some competition and awards at Gen Con. So let's see. So we'll jump over to just taking a look at the contents. You can see that it's laid out well. You have a good contents page here with art and your major topics and then subtopics. So an RPG with a good table of contents is great. Plus an index. People that don't include indexes are crazy to me at this point, but we've got a good index here as well. So let's jump into the first part of the meat of this. The setting here is the Lost Horizon. The premise is that this is a group of humanity that split away from the core group that's in more settled systems of that area of space. This group moved away and charted their own path, and then they got stuck because the gate failed. And so they're stuck in this area of space on their own in a place called Ship City. And Jimua, if I said that right, Jimua, what they call the Dying City, which is their last bastion, so to speak, in the charted sphere where they've took up residence. The themes of this, you've got themes from like Dune a little bit mixed in there. You feel almost a little bit of 40K type vibes as well, but it is pulpy in places, and there's a lot of faction politics that are involved in this game as well, which we'll see as we move on. So, in fact, that's what's next. So things like the Navigators Guild, Machinists, Gardeners, the Coriolites, which are almost like a semi-religious type order. And you've got your underworld, which the Black Toad represents that. So faction play is very heavy in this game. You and your team interact with them to a great deal. In fact, I think they brought some of the mechanics out of like Blades in the Dark, where you actually track your faction status with many of the organizations that are in the game. And it's not just role play; it has effects on the type of services that you can get, prices on things, and various other things of that nature. So let's see here. We'll jump on over. Next part, talking about your explorer. This is the character creation section, right? So you jump into here, and first thing you do is you set an origin background for your character. You can roll it, you can pick it from the list, and get in that way. It lets you know where your character came from and what they're about as they start out. Now, from a mechanics point of view, we'll get into that a little bit later in the next section. But it is similar to the Year Zero engine. You have attributes and talents that power your abilities, and that's what your starting character situation sets up for you. So you've got good tables here to roll for quirks and keepsakes. You've got a name generation, and then the other interesting thing about this is when you have your characters completed, you actually set up your crew to be an entity on its own. So you will have crew maneuvers. And these are abilities that you can use as a party, not just from an individual point of view. And then the bird. So you can see the artwork there. There's a bird on the shoulder. This is something, a bit of flavor that they brought into the game. So you have what they call it, a Garuda, which is a guardian spirit and a black finder. And this is a bird that is that accompanies your crew. It has certain powers and abilities. You can be in more of a fighting style like the ward. It can be a scouting type for a guide, and it can be a support, kind of a support character in the form of a specter. And they have their own unique abilities. It helps. It helps with this mechanic in the system called the blight. So all throughout the known space, there are certain ancient sites that are corrupted by this thing called the blight, and it can cause people to go crazy. It can cause mutations. It can cause distortions in space and time. And the bird helps you navigate that to a degree and detect when that stuff is nearby to help you almost as a guide for your crew. And then you have now we go into the section here where you have your different crew roles. So you have artist is the first example here. So you have the main thing when you pick your class, so to speak, is you can roll or select special abilities here that give you free talents. Hull painter, publisher, alley theater actor. So for instance, the actor will give you the disguise talent, and these don't represent really what you're going to do in the game. It represents essentially your latest career that you came from. And because once you move away from this and start playing the game, your characters are explorers at that point, and go on to do things in space, to explore ancient sites, strange planets, things like that. So you have an artist, an enforcer, which is kind of a law enforcement type thing. An esoteric, that is, they typically are, they understand the Garuda birds, they understand the blight, and they are able to help you navigate the more spiritual side of things. Odd jobber, so these are almost, they can be, like you see here, clerks and peddlers, cooks, servants, all kinds of things. Roughneck, which are the kind of the workers in the Coriolis universe. So miners and divers and machine tenders, scholars, along with all the things that go along with that. Scoundrels, travelers, and that covers it. So that's the general ones. But the main key point here is that each one can be customized into not just everyone would be a traveler. You could, your hull warden, or a lighthouse keeper, things like that. So it's a very unique type way of generating a character, in the fact that you're essentially picking where you came from before you move on to be the explorer, right? So the core mechanics, most of this is going to be very similar to a Year Zero engine if you've played it. So Forbidden Lands, Twilight, and others that are in that vein. So you have a set of core attributes where you'll develop a dice pool of D6. So for instance, if you have a strength of 5, then you would be rolling 5 dice, and then you look for 6s on a success. So in the number of successes that you get, it affects how well you complete the task. And like most games like this, in the Year Zero, you can push your roll, which can debilitate your character if you roll 1s. But when you push, it allows you to re-roll the dice, and you have to keep 1s and 6s. 1s will debilitate your attributes, so it can it can essentially put you into a state where you are tired or fatigued or in a state of despair, mental despair. But it allows you to roll 6s easier too, which help you with gaining success on if it's an important roll for you. And then, like Twilight, you have a talent section where you're going to have various things spread into different categories, combat, knowledge, and so forth. And usually what these do is add additional base dice to your pool. So for instance, if you're a historian, you can take this up to 3 times, and each time you take it, you'll get a +1 base dice per talent level on anything related to historical knowledge. Unlike other Year Zero games, there is no specific skills in Coriolis. You only have your attributes and your talents. There's not a separate skill system for this. So that's one departure from the typical game engine that you might be used to if you played this series before. Then you have your list of talents. Then here's what we spoke about earlier: crew maneuvers. These are the things that your party can do as a team, which helps you to in combat and various other situations, like concentrate fire. All your explorers within medium range get a +2 base dice when attacking a single specific enemy with a ranged weapon during the round. So various things like this that can help you in different situations. Combat, also very similar to other Year Zero games in the fact that you have zone-based shooting and movement. It is not a grid-based system, so it's a looser zone-based approach. And one thing I did like here is they give you a chart layout for close combat and ranged attacks to give you kind of a flow of how each one of those works. When you're just starting out, it really helps you be able to navigate how you go through and inflict a hit and damage. Social short section here for social conflict. And then you have critical hits. You have your, in this game, you have your health points, which are your physical damage, and then you have despair points, which covers your mental stress and fatigue and so forth. So like here you have your mental trauma that you can get from certain conditions that would be inflicted on you. Then you have a whole chapter here on your Garuda and the powers for it. So this is a lengthy section which will tell you about what type of bird that you have with you, what its powers are, what it can do to help you. And you as a party get to choose this and essentially level that up as you get more experience. Weapons, you have a nice layout here of let's see. Yeah, so you have your typical weapons that you would have: a rifle, a carbine, pistols, anything for a sci-fi setting, but they're named a little different, like a coiler, a fusillade carbine, and so forth. But the great part that I like is that you have visible depiction of it in artwork. So it helps you to visualize what your character has. A lot of games skip that, but whenever you're dealing with a unique setting like Coriolis, it's great to be able to see what you're doing, right? See what you're carrying around. Let's see. So this follows the Twilight type system where you have a damage value and then a crit value here. So for instance, on the revolver, you have a damage of 2 and a crit of 3. So if you hit with the attack, you do 2 points of damage. But if you get enough successes to do 1 more extra damage, if you can get to 3, then it will inflict a critical hit on the enemy. So I do like that it kind of kept with that same system as Twilight in that you have a crit that is tied in with the amount of damage that you do, which is then based on how many successes that you get on your hit. It makes for a pretty clean system, and you can quickly be able to tell what kind of a hit you've inflicted on one roll. Then you also have a depiction of your delving suit, which is kind of a combination of armor and space suit together. So you have, provides armor, provides blot protection, and then each one has features like comm links and filter packs and things like that to help you during the excursion, right? And the other thing I like about Coriolis is the completeness of the equipment section. In any sci-fi setting, you have equipment is key, right? Because it kind of differentiates a lot of what you can do in a system where you're not, there's no magic in the setting. So, ranged weapons, close combat, armor, general equipment, camp supplies, tools, communication, light, scanning and scouting, services and food. It goes on and on. There's a lot to be had here, and the gear can also sometimes provide bonuses here. So, for instance, if you look at the med kit, it provides a bonus of +2, and what that is a gear bonus to your check. So, if you're making a healing check, it's going to give you 2 more dice to roll, which 2 more chances to roll a 6 and get a success. A good depiction of the vehicles in the game. So whenever you go on into a delve, you've got your shuttlecraft that you're approaching the site with. And then on that shuttlecraft, you're going to have some type of ground vehicle to be able to get you around, right? And so it provides stats for that. There are some vehicle combat rules that are included in the system. And so it's good to be able to it's not a heavy vehicle combat rules. It's pretty light, but it's enough to get you by. And then you have a whole system where you can upgrade your rovers with equipment and weapons. So it almost becomes a second character, or additional character, I would say, in your game. And then we'll skip on over. You have a whole guilds and factions section to the book. And this furthers on to what I said about factions being so important in the game. So you have a whole relationship grid, which tells you the different factions of what they think of the other factions. So one can be neutral, collaborative, hostile. So that way it helps the GM be able to navigate who likes who, what's the status at the beginning of the game. And that way you can better articulate for your players the lay of the land, so to speak. And then, like I said, here's your standing. So +3 to -3, hostile to allied. And that is reflective of your own party status with each one of these factions. And then, like I said, there are things that the factions can provide you, such as services, equipment, and those are affected by your standing. You can see, some of this art like this is pretty evocative and nice. And then you have like a faction symbol and so forth. So it's very evocative of the setting, which you have to have on something completely new like this. Then we'll jump over, and I want to talk about the delve. So the delve is the core game experience that you have in the game. And what you're looking at here is a map from a top-down perspective. This is like a mining site, right? And the delve breaks up the adventure into parts. So it's listed here, part 1 all the way through part 8. So for instance, at the beginning, it says the scout successfully rolls for logic and a gear bonus for a deep scan, spending 1 supply for the crew, and the GM gives the players a scan map handout. So this is it's a delve example, but this is what happens at each stage. So your crew is going to have specialties that they focus on, whether they're scouts or like tech specialists and combat specialists and so forth. And at each part of the delve, there are going to be tests that they have to overcome. It's not unlike a dungeon delve, but it's geared for a more abstract sci-fi purpose. So you're not going grid square by grid square. You're essentially going location by location. So as you move through the adventure, you're getting to various sites in the delve, and at each site, there could be a challenge to overcome with a skill test or with an encounter with creatures and so forth. So you have, if you're familiar with the travel system in the One Ring, they borrowed heavily from that. So when you go on a journey in the One Ring, you each have roles that you take on to help the party throughout the journey. And this is very similar to that, but it's more focused into one adventure site, and then it breaks up the adventure site by sections. But it's not so granular that you're going room by room by room like you would in a mapped dungeon. So, and then there's a whole rule set that goes with that, and there's party gear that you keep track of. So like food supplies and various other things that you can lose and use along the way to help you get from the beginning to the end of the adventure. There's another great one there, some kind of ancient, like automaton creature there. That's great. I love that art. And then you have a whole very detailed creature and adversary section. So this is going to tell you about all the different things, the beings of the blight, constructs, beasts, and echoes, like things like wraith lights and conduit specters, and then other various phenomena. But it's very there is a lot here, and there's a lot that you can throw at your players. And then lastly, you've got a section for running the game, and it's very much needed in this because you're combining the new way of handling a delve with the faction system. You're running your crew with the vehicle and so forth. So, lastly, I want to point out. Well, this is another piece of art that I wanted to highlight, which is the art for the included adventure called the Black Ziggurat. That's a pretty amazing piece there. I'm not the light glare is kind of not great, but see if I can. Yeah, kind of like that. Pretty good, pretty good. And then the other thing was a map. Let's see if I have that. There it is. This is Ship City. So this is that. It's like a planetoid that's been hollowed out and converted into essentially home base. So in between delves, you're coming back to Ship City, and you're dealing with the factions and encountering things there before you go out and undertake another adventure. But yeah, that's kind of it. That's the game, Coriolis, the Great Dark. Hopefully, I covered the things that you might want to see there. If not, let me know what I could do better, and I would be happy to take that into account in future reviews that I do. So let me switch over to camera. Okay, there we go. All right, let me get reset here. How's everybody doing? Looks like we got 6 people watching. That's good. That's good. Hope y'all are enjoying it. If not, too bad. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. All right, we'll turn that off. Yeah. So, what did y'all think? What did y'all think about Coriolis? Anything interesting there that you saw? Anything you like or doesn't look good? James, you said first time. Yeah, not yeah. Sounds fun. Scott says Super Draco says nice art. Yeah, the art is pretty dang good. It is. It helps with the setting. I can tell you that if you're running something that's brand new and people haven't seen it before, then if you don't have good art, then it's hard to get a feel for what you're doing. Yeah, Cassie, good. Welcome in, Cassie. Good to see you here. Yeah, Ship City does look cool. It's it's hard to explain exactly what it is because it's many things. Since it's the last bastion of humanity in this era, you have everything from you've got multiple levels, like how would you say it? It's you have a lower levels with the laborers, and then you have a middle class of merchants, and then you have the nobility and like the guild masters for these various factions, stuff like that. It's pretty interesting. Let's see here. All right. Yeah, Jim, it is. You said it looks. You said it looks a lot like Traveler. And by the way, this is Jim, one of my regular players. In fact, we've got a lot of my regular players here in the chat. But it is a lot like Twilight in the fact that the system is geared towards a ranged combat type focus, and that is that's key for a modern or a sci-fi type setting, right? The one thing that is different about it though is that you do not have the skill layer in the mechanics. It really is just attributes and talents. But they've added on a lot of things like the faction system that Twilight doesn't have. You've got the crew maneuvers, which are cool. I really kind of wish that Twilight would have done that. So if in your team you could have these group abilities that you could activate during combat and so forth. That would have been pretty cool. So let's see. All right, let's jump over. We're gonna hit some of the news that I've got, and we'll see if we can make that happen. All right. So I went through and collected some things that I found interesting. The first one is about a system called 5 parsecs from home. I've recently started getting into solo gaming, and 5 parsecs is a system from Modifius that really hits that for me. So it's a it combines role playing with with miniature combat on physical miniatures on a board. So you have a party of adventurers that you create in 5 parsecs from home that in there it's a science fiction game, right? And you equip them, you give them stats, and then the system itself generates the adventures, it generates the locations, it generates the challenges. So you have really a system that creates your play field for you, and then it gives you options in which way you go. It doesn't railroad you either. So you get a sandbox that it creates for you. Then you can then go and choose where and what you want to do with your team. Then once you actually get generated into an encounter, so let's say that you go to a planet on a heist, right? Then you go on this heist, and the book will walk you through generating that encounter. It'll tell you the number of enemies. It'll tell you the terrain that you're going to use. Like if it's in a built up city area, and then you'll put that on the board. If you have an area that you can set up your miniature terrain and your miniatures, you put that out there, and it has full rules for that for you to fight it out on almost like as a miniature war game, right? With a small crew. It's not as complicated as a war game. It plays pretty quickly, and then once you're finished, then it takes the results, incorporates that back into your campaign, and then you move on from there. But specifically, Planetfall is a new release from Modifius that just came out about a week ago. And this takes it from space to a colony. So you, as the player, are you're the leader of a new colony that is touching down on a pristine planet, and you're going through the motions of setting up your colony. You have to deal with all of the flora and fauna and raiders that come to your planet, and you know archaeological sites that you might find. Uh, all kinds of foes can you can even tailor the theme. So if you want your campaign to be more about fighting off the raiders from outer space, so to speak, you can do that. If you want to be fighting on like a death world where all the 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 creatures on the planet are out to kill you, you can do that too. You can kind of make it what you want, but Planetfall is a unique take on that. It includes some vehicle rules that the previous editions didn't have. But the other thing about this game that I'll point out is that uh, the 5 parsecs game and then the companion games for fantasy called 5 Leagues from the Borderlands, they're very well laid out. They're well indexed. They've got great table of contents, and it really helps you. It really helps you be able to find what you need in a quick way as you flip through the book. And so they have a PDF of this that they release, of course, and then there's also a hardback book. The hardback is pre-order, but if you buy it, you'll get the PDF immediately. And then when the book is printed here, does it say they expect to start in February? So looks like you'll start getting books February, March timeframe. But anyway, good product. It's well supported. There's a lot of expansions for their products that they've created, and this is a new entry to that I look forward to. I've bought it. I went through the PDF myself, and it's pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to kind of getting that on the table myself. Let's see. Is there anything else? No, I think that's it on this one. So yeah. Anyway, let me know if you are interested in that, and we can talk about it more. But yeah, that's Planetfall. Next topic, also from Modifius. I found this one kind of almost funny. A long time ago, when I was a kid, there was a show called Space 1999. So now we have the role playing game, right? And this is using Modifius's 2D20 system. Not really the biggest fan of the 2D20 system. The meta game currencies just don't really ring my bell too much. But I found it funny that we got Space 1999. That's a game. That's a show that I always just found very interesting as a kid, and whether the game is good or not, I don't know, but it was funny to see that. But let's see. Yeah. Next one. New release for the One Ring. So the One Ring is a big favorite of mine. I'm a huge fan of Lord of the Rings, and their system that Free League created for that is probably the best example that I know of where a system was created that fits so well with the subject matter. And that's what you're looking at here with the One Ring. But this is an expansion called Hands of the White Wizard. So this is, from what I can read here, this is your patron is Saruman before he turns to the dark side, so to speak. Yeah. Mark, yeah, you're saying it's a blast from the past, yeah, Space 1999. Yeah, it's crazy. You're starting to see a lot of the old shows and things like that turn into role playing games, which is pretty entertaining. Like I said, whether they're good or not, it's a different story, but it's fun to see them come back. Yeah, so look at the art on this. This is amazing. Again, like I was saying about Free League products, their art is spot on. But yeah, so Hands of the White Wizard, so it contains 6 adventures for the One Ring, the official tabletop role playing game for Lord of the Rings. The adventures take place from the year 2965 to the opening moves of the War of the Ring and can be played individually or as part of a larger tale. For Saruman the White is the Lord of Isengard, a counselor to kings, a master of ring lore, and the chief adversary of the enemy. Great is his wisdom, yet greater still is his pride. The tale starts before his fall. The treason of Isengard has not begun. Perhaps Saruman's doom is already written, or perhaps the heroes can change the ending and save the White Wizard from corruption. So, yeah, it's an interesting premise there. But I can say that if I was a player of this, to essentially working for Saruman would be an interesting twist, right? So you've got the things that has going on in the background, yet he's kind of playing both sides at this point, is he not? He is on the White Council, yet he's looking for the ring. Yeah, so it would be interesting to see how that plays out in this book. But yeah, that's Hands of the White Wizard, and it is. Well, yeah, one other thing, it is a pre-order. So much like everything else with Free League, if you buy it now on a pre-order, you'll get the PDF immediately, so you can jump into it with the PDF while you're waiting on the physical book to arrive. And if you got a lot of Swedish krona, you can throw that at it. No, they have a U.S. site, so you don't have to order from Sweden. They've got a U.S. warehouse, so don't don't sweat the Swedish krona. One other thing here. This is from Osprey. I saw it's the Hooded Man. So this was something unique that I thought I would throw in. It is Osprey Publishing does a lot of wargaming stuff, but they dabble a little bit in role playing games, and this is one of them. So this is Robin Hood. You get to play Robin Hood in his band of merry thieves, right? So it's a hardback book, 192 pages with a 9x6 format. So it's kind of it's a self-contained game. They don't really follow up with a lot of supplements, but it's pretty cool how they throw out these games from time to time. Every once in a while you'll find a gem, but it says The Hooded Man's a role-playing game of heroism and adventure that tells the story of the rebels, be they members of Robin's band striking out against the sheriff of Nottingham from their lair in Sherwood Forest, or an outlaw company of players on creation. Characters are drawn from all walks of life, bringing their own talents, histories, and motives to the company, with a simple D6 dice pool system that keeps the focus on the heroes and their fight against tyranny and oppression. Yeah, it would be interesting to see their take on how you could turn that into a role-playing system. So I don't know. It's could be good. I guess it's in the implementation, right? So let's see. Now we're going to jump over to Mongoose. Yeah, talking about Paranoia. This Paranoia is a game that I played in high school. I played it 2 or 3 times. I think I saw Matt earlier. You're big into Paranoia back in the high school. Uh, I remember, but it was fun back then. It's a very unique game, and Mongoose has re-released that into a new edition now. And it is a very unique game where the players are pitted against each other. They work together, but they have secret agendas, right? And so I'll just read the blurb here. It says, this is one of the rule books that's fun to read and even more fun to play. Paranoia does not take itself seriously, so we can find dark humor in bureaucracy, politics, businesses, and a lot more. No sacred cows, but one make sure the GM and players are all having a good time. So Paranoia, you are playing red citizens. Okay, that's the bottom rung of society in a dystopian future. It's called the Alpha Complex, right? It's like a liminal space almost, an underground giant mega structure, and it's all run by the central computer. And the central computer controls everything. It controls your life. It dictates what you do. But what happens is the central computer essentially sends you on nearly impossible missions where you're going to get diced up and electrocuted and everything else. But it's yeah, exactly, Mark. Everyone is a suspect. So uh, let's see. Yeah, this last paragraph I found pretty funny. So it says, in this darkly humorous role playing game, the computer loves you, but it is insane. No, not insane, happy. You'll be sent on impossible, I mean, glamorous missions filled with catch 22 fun and satire, safety. Yes, fun and safety. Your teammates are out to kill you, no, support you, and you are out to protect them. All in all, your missions will be not dangerous, but entertaining, and you will likely be promoted. So, yeah, it's a very entertaining game, and it can get a little wonky, but every time that I played it way back then, it was a great time. It was a great time, and just to kind of highlight this game, they just released a new expansion here, a new adventure called Water Everywhere, and I found this entertaining to no end. So this is a damp mission for paranoia that satires climate change. Is that something to joke about? Well, it is in the Alpha Complex. Watch the troubleshooters try to convince poor citizens that climate change is not real, evacuate blue citizens because climate change is real, and avoid a swarm of angry bees, and convince factory workers to breathe out less carbon dioxide while maintaining workflows. I mean, how can that not be entertaining? But yeah, it's not really a campaign game, I would say, but it is really great for one-offs. It's pretty fun. Yeah, Mark, it should be set in a Spaceball. Yeah, a crossover with Spaceballs would be pretty entertaining, I admit. Yep, I agree. Let's see. Adeptus Mechanicus. Let's talk about this a minute. I wanted to bring this up because here's where I've got to be. All right. Now, if anybody that knows me knows that I love Cubicle 7 products, I love Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. I love even the Imperium Maledictum game that they've recently come out for the Warhammer 40,000 universe. Well, I say recently, but it's been a year or two, something like that. But they led off with a core book for Imperium Maledictum that gives you the base setting. It gives you, no, I don't want 7% off. No, thanks. But it lays out all the base systems. And then what they decided to do is layer in settings as specific settings as follow-on books, right? So the first one they released was the Inquisitor books, the Player's Guide and GM's Guide, and it's where you play, as a retinue, and your patron is an Inquisitor in the 40K universe, and that's kind of core 40K type gameplay, right? And it's fun. It's very evocative of the 40K universe and everything. But then, if you remember from 10, 15 years ago, back when Fantasy Flight Games had the 40K role play license, they had Dark Heresy, which was their take on the Inquisition, and then they had Rogue Trader, right, where you play as a rogue trader in the crew. Well, those two systems, those two aspects of the game were very popular. And I thought that they would do something similar like that in the new edition, Imperium Maledictum. But yet their second go out of the box, they decide to do Adeptus Mechanicus, which don't get me wrong, the Adeptus Mechanicus is cool, but it's hard for me to see that as a core gameplay setting. I mean, it's almost like they've taken a side group and then made that the focus of attention. In like I said, the Adeptus Mechanicus are cool, but it seems very one dimensional to create a role play setting out of. I would have loved to have seen a return to Rogue Trader, or even back to the Death Watch for the Death Watch Marines. That would be a good premise. But the direction they took on this one, I just thought it was interesting. I don't. I guess I'm going to wait to see it to pass judgment. But right off the bat, I would say this is not really something that's tickling my gears, so to speak. I don't know. I don't know what y'all think. Maybe you love it. Maybe you can't wait to play a group of tech priests running around, fixing things. I guess I don't know. I don't know what you would do. Yeah. Crowdfunding. I wanted to bring up this one because while this game would not really be my bag, it is pretty interesting in the fact that this is an RPG system that they've come out with that is essentially Zelda and Final Fantasy in a role playing game. My daughter loves Zelda. I mean, when I was younger, I played Zelda too, and I think I played some of the very early Final Fantasy stuff. But it's very cool to kind of see this in a role playing game format now. So they've got the Kickstarter just wrapped up. It was hugely successful. I mean, 700,000 euros. I mean, that's great for an RPG from an unknown publisher. I mean, they've got 5 projects, but this is kind of the first big one from them, from what I can see. But I think that, like most Kickstarters, even though you missed the initial crowdfunding, you'll be able to jump in once they open the backer portal. You should be able to do like a late pledge on it, if I'm not mistaken. But again, you'll notice Free League published this. The Free League has really coming out as a major secondary publisher to Wizards of the Coast. I love a lot of the things they do, and it seems like they've got their finger on the pulse of what's popular. So, I skipped too far down. So it looks like it's kind of a D12 based system, from what I can tell. You've got several stats here and things like that. Of course, like any good role playing game, you're gonna have a bunch of stats, but easy travel rules, unpredictable monsters, cooking, brewing mechanics, high character customization, an elemental system, and playable penguins. I guess if that floats your boat, go for some playable penguins, I guess. Yeah. So, but anyway, that's it looks like they're catching kind of the core essence of Zelda type games and bringing it into this. I did watch a couple of videos related to this, and it was pretty interesting. So, let's see. They've got the core book, and then looks like they are producing, as part of the Kickstarter, a separate lore book with the lands of Radia, which will include all your setting information and things like that. So I would imagine that a lot of people are probably going to take this core book and then adapt it to their own story, like just do Zelda or something like that, if I was to guess. But it's cool that they put in their own unique setting to play in if you wanted to. The artwork is typical for the genre, I would say. It fits with the Nintendo Zelda aesthetic. And then they've got a fancy Twilight edition with a slipcase here. Oh, looks like the two different slipcases, different colors. That's cool. Looks like the evil city setting, and then like the good guy box and the bad guy box. Yeah. Starter box, yeah. So they're coming out with the starter box too. That almost all good games are doing starter sets these days, which is good in my opinion. It's a way to get started quickly on it. Custom dice, tokens, character sheets. They've thought of everything on this one, so it looks like you're going to get the full meal deal if you back it. So yeah, if this is your thing, jump over and check it out. Like I said, the campaign is over right now. It just wrapped up. Yeah, the 18th. But yeah, once they open up the pledge manager, you can probably jump in on it if you wanted to. I have not figured out how to enable the audio on my screen share yet. Otherwise, I'd play the little intro video for you. But anyway, jump over there and check that out if you like it. I'm going to go down after the show and put links to all this stuff in the description. So if you want to go check it out, you can find it there. And the last thing I wanted to touch on is a little convention news. Just talking about Gen Con real quick. Me and my family used to go to that for several years in a row back before COVID. And then COVID hit and they got a little bit weird with the requirements and all the hoopla around it. So we didn't go, and we haven't gone since. But when we did go, it was such a fun experience. My daughter was little at the time. So she liked the gaming stuff, but there was also all kinds of crafting seminars you could go to and other things like that for the littles that she and my wife went to whenever I was off doing gaming stuff. But we've been talking about going back again and just to see what it's like nowadays. And we may try that, but I'm bringing this up now because Gen Con is a big convention. We're talking like 40,000 attendees over 4 days. And it's tough to get into if you don't start early. So they open up the housing portal in January, and that's why I'm bringing it up now. If you want to go to something like this, go ahead and put it on your radar, because if you don't get into the housing portal when it opens up, you're not going to be able to get a good room. You're not going to be close to the convention, and it's going to be tough. But anyway, if you want to do it, jump into it. Look at the housing portal and see if you can get yourself a room secured. We may or may not do that this year, but I think I might get pushed into it. But we'll see. So that's the news that I had for this time. So anyhow, I guess we'll leave the rest of this open for a little bit of chat if anybody has anything they want to talk about. If not, we can wrap it up. But that's the show for tonight. That's what I had planned. So hopefully some of that stuff looked interesting to you, and you can go check it out on your own. Yeah, Mark, you said bring back Death Watch. Yeah, playing a team of Marines like that. That's fun. We did that before, and it would be fun again for sure. So what are we looking at moving forward? I'm going to try and do 2 to maybe 3 shows a week. That's what I'm aiming for. So I'll probably do the next show on Friday, the day after Christmas. And then as far as the following week, I don't know yet if I'm going to do it Tuesday or Wednesdays. I think I'll probably try to stick with Tuesdays and Fridays. We'll see how it goes, but that's what we're going to do. So I'll keep doing reviews. I'll keep doing the reviews will probably be like once a week, but I'll try to get news on each show, right? So I'll try to bring that into each show, and then hopefully, as we can develop an audience, we'll get some audience interaction going, and have more topics, and I can see what you guys like. I'll show you what I like, and we'll meet in the middle, right? So anyway, that's all I have for tonight. All the typical YouTube stuff, I guess. if you liked what you saw tonight, I would appreciate a subscribe. I would appreciate a like. If you didn't like what you saw, thanks for watching anyway, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.